think about the things that humanity has invented, the real breakthroughs, you can make a case for what you think is the most important thing that we've come up with together. You know, people talk about the invention of the wheel or fire or fettuccine Alfredo, whatever it is. Swinging towards the third one. But for me, I think that the thing that we have invented that has been the most significant breakthrough, the thing that has made everything else possible, the big deal, is the invention of community, the invention of tribe. The idea that together we are more than what we were as individuals. This is the invention that really makes us stand apart. This is the thing that makes everything else work when you think about it. Before that, all you could be is a hunter-gatherer, right? You've seen the Discovery Channel. But after that, if that isn't your particular gift, somebody else can do that. It leaves room for the idea that other people can be teachers or healers or thinkers or inventors. It allows us all of a sudden, when we work together, to take care of each other, and it leaves room for unknown discovery and unknown adventure. That's the moment when we invented tribe that we truly became human. That's the thing. And you feel it, or you wouldn't be here right now. There's something magical about that, isn't there? It's an evolutionary step. And that's why when I hear somebody say, well, you know, it's survival of the fittest, we should all just be out for ourselves, I think, oh, who hurt you? Because what that person is really asking for is for us to de-evolve, to forget that important evolutionary leap. And it's also just baloney, because the truth is, nobody ever does anything alone. Not really. When you really think about it, nobody ever does anything alone, and you can't go back. I'm very honored that I get to spend time with my grandson. He's almost 2, and of course, without bias, I can tell you he's the most perfect human being ever born. It's not up for debate. Anyway, I get to hang out with him a lot. And what I see in him, all of these amazing things and all of this unlimited power for motion, and he gets in my house and he destroys it. I expect Jim Cantori to be in the living room charting the path of damage. But it's wonderful because he's just taking things off of shelves and figuring out how this works. And he has such a strong desire to explore. And he has such a strong desire to share. He'll pick flowers and give it to my wife. And he'll do these things. And look at this. Look at what I did. And I realized that those two qualities, the call to adventure and the unknown, and the desire to serve and share, those are the two qualities that make heroes. When you think of every important scientific discovery, every revolution, every breakthrough, every hero that you ever had, they have those two qualities, discovery and service. And it is the things that every child is born with. It's what you and I have. And in fact, when I see somebody who doesn't want to share, who's just in it for themselves, who doesn't want to know, who wants to close those doors, I think, oh, there's a wound there. Come here, bring it in. Let's get a hug and let's figure this out. Because there's something that needs to be healed about that. There's this basic idea of opening up that we see all over the place when we're doing our human business correctly. And you know it because you feel it. We celebrate it all the time. I think that one of the great perks of this gig, being a minister, is that I get to do weddings. Oh, I love doing weddings. I love doing weddings. It's the best. It's so much fun. Doesn't always bring out the best in people, but it's okay. It's so awesome. And I think that you can tell a lot about where a person is and what kind of healing and what kind of learning they're going to do by the way that they talk about the thing that happens at a wedding. Some people that have been binging the Hallmark Channel go, oh, this is the moment when two become one. It's like, what is this, Star Wars? What are you talking about? Because that's not what happens. Can you imagine if two became one? Can you imagine if during the wedding ceremony I said, guess what? You are now forever bound to a complete clone of yourself. carbon copies, and you're never going to have any disagreements, and you're always going to both like the same things, and there's never going to be anything different between the two of you ever. Enjoy therapy. It doesn't work that way. The two do not become one. That's not the deal, and it would be weird if it was. The magical thing that happens is something else. The two become three. The two open up to something bigger than either one of them. A lot of times when I'm planning the ceremony with the couple, they ask about readings, and I let them pick whatever reading they want. But the cool thing is when they let me pick, because I know best. No, because I have one that I really like, especially. And it's from the book The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. Do you know that book? You should know that book, The Prophet. It's so cool. But there's a little chapter called On Marriage, and I always do a little reading from On Marriage, and I won't do it for you now, but there's a part about the idea that you need to still be yourselves, and you need to have space for something bigger to come in, because sometimes people forget that in the ceremony. And the reading talks about the idea that the oak and the cypress don't grow in each other's shadow. And the quote I like from there is, "Be alone as the strings of a lute are alone, even though they quiver with the same music." Isn't that great? The idea that we're moving with the same music, but we have something different to contribute. There's not one, there's not two, there's three. There's that musical third that completes the chord of life. And there's something magical about that. And if you can find that third, that bigger whatever it is, you have really found something. I've been married for 31 years. I know, right? What kind of crazy person is she? I have, though, and we're doing great. And people sometimes ask me, what's your secret? What's the trick to that? And there's a lot of little things, that you can talk about. But the truth is, I always say the same kind of corny thing, and that is that you have to have room for something bigger than you and something bigger than the other person. You have to have room for something ultimate. It's not just me, and it's not just you, and it's not even just you and me. It's something bigger. What I always say, and here's the Hallmark card moment, I always say, love should be the music that you both dance to. Love should be the music that you both dance to. It needs to be something bigger. And like I say, if you can find that, you'll be happy. Let's do the math on that third thing. 1 is the number of the literal world, where you have to first get the height and the width and the depth and the thing, and I can only do one thing at a time, and I'm not listening to anything outside of that one thing. 1 is the literal number, 1 is the echo chamber that I get on my phone when it just shows me in my social networking thing more of the same thing. You like this, you're going to like this. And I think everybody's just like me, and everybody just agrees with me, and look at this. And I bought one thing, and now Amazon thinks that's my whole life. 1 is the language of the literal world. Sometimes people pray the prayer of 1, where they say, God, more of me. I'm not interested in adventure or exploration or surprises. Please, no surprises, God. I want this, and this is how it's going to happen, and I read The Secret, and this is what I'm doing. More of me, please, God. That's the prayer of 1, and that's why that prayer never works. Because there is more than what you can fit in between your ears. There's more than what you can fit in your comfort zone, and life is here to expand you and grow you and give you adventure and new ideas. 1 isn't the thing. 2 is the language of tension. There's me and that other thing, and we're fighting about it. 2 is great for marketing, but it ain't so great for living. Maybe you used to go to a 2 church. Look at all those bad people out there and all of that sin out there. And aren't you glad a mighty fortress is our church? Ooh, fortress? Heaven is a gated community. What kind of neighborhood is that? There's that idea that there's me and there's this stuff out there, and I have to fight it to make it go away. In other words, to bring it back to that echo chamber of 1. Isn't that interesting? 2 always tries to become a different number. That's how you know it ain't the whole story. And we can shake our heads at that old feeling, I used to go to that place where we used to just hate all the time, and I get that. There's a more subtle version where we go, you know what, I respect everybody who's different because I immediately make them just exactly like me. It's okay if you're different, but as soon as you come in here, I'm going to completely make you like me. That's weird Stepford Wives-y kind of stuff, and that's not what we want either. We are here to celebrate differences, not similarities. Similarities are easy to celebrate. I love you because you're different, because you bring something different to the table. And sometimes we can say, oh, I'm so enlightened because we all believe the same thing. Well, you know what? We don't. There are some people that think other people are going to hell. There's some people that don't have hell, like us. Are we right? Are we wrong? Who cares? The point is, we're here to learn from something different than what we bring to the table. Otherwise, what's the point? 2 is that language of tension that either tries to go back into one or can open you up to something bigger. Ask yourself, how much room do I make for what I do not know? Because when we strive for certainty, we are islanding ourselves in the stream of life. I'm going to say that again because I like it. Makes me think of a Dolly Parton song. And when we strive for certainty, we are islanding ourselves in the stream of life. How much room do you have for the unknown? They say that the test of an ethical system, like a system of morality, how nice you are, in other words. A test of any ethical system is your ability to welcome the stranger. Have you ever heard that before? It's sort of a term, welcoming the stranger. You can tell that a system of belief, of conduct, of philosophy, a religion, or whatever it is healthy according to how good it is at welcoming the stranger. Not because they're the same, but specifically because they are different. How good are you at welcoming the stranger? And that talks about how strong you are, how healthy you are, how secure you are, and how loving you are. How good are you at that? And it's not just the system, it's the person. I mean, how good are you as an individual? Get good, because that's where the fun lives. Get good, because that's where the growth lives. Get good, because that's where all of the stuff lives. And it's also fulfilling the concept of adventure and service that we talked about at the beginning. But it's more than that. It's about fulfilling your own operating system, your own coding, because you are being told to look for that third all the time. We say things like, third time's a charm. All the time. We talk about having 3 wishes. We keep giving ourselves that number over and over again. How many Stooges are there? How many Marx Brothers? How many Beatles with musical talent? We give ourselves that. In comedy, there's the rule of 3s where you say 2 normal things and then a funny thing. I'm a great cook. I can make eggs. I can make grilled cheese. I can make reservations. We do that all the time. How many is company? We send ourselves these messages all the time. It's a cultural phenomenon, but it's also a spiritual one. You want to talk about the Trinity? You want to talk about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? You want to talk about spirit, soul, and body? Do you want to talk about these ideas, Peter, James, and John? All of these things that happen. We even see it, that idea of being open, when we talk about Ernest Holmes saying you need to be open at the top. In Jewish Passover, when the idea is you leave an extra place at the table for Elijah and you open the door for the Spirit to come in. It is everywhere, this idea of being open to something bigger than yourself, bigger than what you know, and it is the key to happiness and more than culture, more than mythology. Look back at the mythology of your life. Think with me about every time you have had a breakthrough, a success, a victory. Every time the thing, whatever the thing was, big or small, every time it worked. I guarantee you, if you really think about it, the time that the thing happened, the magic spell was cast, the wish came true. Every time the thing happened for you, it was a time when you were not closed off, but rather opened up. It was a time when you opened up to something bigger than what you knew, and it was a beautiful surprise. The poetry, the song of that moment came from an unexpected place because you opened up to that magical, mystical third. Every single time. You want it to happen again? Worry less about manifesting what you want and think more about just opening up. to the idea that the universe is already really good at this. It really is. God is really good at this. Love is really good at this. Art is really good at this. Truth, beauty, justice, honor, already there, already good at this. Who the heck am I to get in the way of that and tell life what I want it to do? What if I just open up? What if I just listen? What if? And I know that that can seem difficult. Because as we said earlier, it seems like everywhere you look, there's so much tension. There's so much going on right now. It feels like any issue you mention, the whole world is 50-50 on one side or the other. And if I post on Instagram a picture of my breakfast and I say, I like French toast, half the people are going to say, yeah, but what about pancakes? It seems ridiculous. And I get that in a time like this, it can feel very difficult. And I also get that right now there's such pressure to be on one side or the other of it, and there's such pressure to make the other side go away. Can we please fight the bad guys? Can we make them go away? Can we make them agree with us? Can we vote that thing out, whatever it is? Can we build a wall of some kind or another between us and them so we don't have to see them? I get that there's so much pressure to go back to one. I get it. And in our own lives, sometimes when there's something that feels like it's from another place, another point of view, sometimes there's a desire to, okay, how can I quickly resolve this, absorb it or banish it or something to get back to one? I get the pressure of that. But I want to challenge you today. The next time you feel that pressure, that dynamic, that moment, I want to encourage you to not treat it like it's a fire that has to be put out. I want you to treat it like it is a teacher that is here to grow you. Sit in it for a moment. Sit in the dynamic of it. Enjoy the tension. I mean, that's the fun part of a roller coaster, right? Enjoy the ride for just a minute. And watch what it can teach you instead of trying to make it go away. Look, I came here today to talk to you about opening up and all of the things that we've been saying. I really believe in that. I think it is the secret to a mystical life. But I also came to hopefully give you a little bit of hope, because I can understand that it feels like there's just so much right now, and it's so hard right now, and there's so much fighting and so much tension and so much all of that. That two is so big, that duality is so big right now. But I hope that I can encourage you to take some comfort and even some cheer in the notion that historically, whenever there has been such a strong duality, all it means is that the third is trying to be born. This is always how it happens. This is how it happens. And before you know it, the thing will happen. Before you know it, more and more people choose love. Before you know it, the thing happens. The third comes in. The mystic happens. Love happens. Art happens. And you know it because it is happening even now. Take heart. Look, the arc of history does bend towards justice. On an individual level, you can't unlearn. You can't ungrow. It's happening. The choice that we have is, do I go along with it or do I fight it? Is it going to take a while or a minute? That's the choice. And so I'm here to encourage you to find ways to open up, to find ways to welcome the stranger, to find ways to sit in the puzzlement, to sit in the wonderment, to sit in the unknown, to go looking for it, and to find a way to surf that wave of uncertainty, because it leads you to a beautiful place. And yeah, I get it. That seems like a lot. And the question might be, well, how do I do that? And if I was here to sell you something, I could make it very complicated. But it ain't complicated. And I'm not here to sell you something. The truth is, the secret to finding this kind of happiness, this kind of openness, is in something that you have. It's something that every child has. Adventure and service. Find the adventure in your life. Find the place where I don't know what's going to happen. That's supposed to be fun. It's okay to not know. You don't need a 5-year plan. Not with me. Find the thing. And find a way to serve somebody else. Find a way to fulfill that evolutionary objective of giving back. And if you can do those two things and not worry about how it's going to work out, if you can just set that free, you will find that you will be set free too, because you will be doing the thing that you were given as a job description when you were 2 years old. And it will make you free. Because after all, freedom is a choice. Thank you.